All right, fellas. So today we're going to be responding to wrenching with Boomer. Just first things first. Just a heads up. This is the first time I'm seeing this guy. So I've already watched the video. I've him. That's how I decided I wanted to react to him. But yeah, here you go.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Doomy, gloomy day today. It's raining. I don't know if you can hear it through the microphone. But anyway, so what do I want to talk to you about today? It's basically this industry, and you've heard so many different stories about how the dealerships are having a hard time getting technicians. Ford says, they have, 1,200 empty bays or whatever, and
Money. It's always money. If you're having a hard time getting employees, it's always money. You can have the shittiest job ever. If you pay them enough, people will show up and do it.
you hear it all the time. It's so hard to find technicians and stuff like that. But why? Why is it so hard to find technicians? Let me bring you back many years now. Back in the 70s, okay, 80s, when you had a problem with your car in your neighborhood, I can just about guarantee you there was, if you lived in the city, let's say, I guarantee you had a handful of people in your neighborhood that knew actually how to fix a car, that knew mechanical stuff. They just had that ability to do that. Not saying people don't have the ability today. People don't want to have the ability.
This is true. Forgive me, I cut him off at the last minute. This is true. Most people, they want to be useless. They don't want to get their hands dirty. That is true.
Ability is different. But back in the day, people had to fix their own stuff. Everybody says, today's cars don't last. I don't agree. I strongly disagree with that. If you got 100, 125,000 miles out of a car way back when, that was something.
No. So if he's talking about the 70s, I don't know. I haven't had a car from the 70s. I'd like one. I've had my eyes on some for quite some time. Some restoration projects, of course. But every single car that I got from the 90s, in the early 2000s, the rule was I actually bought the car with 100-something thousand miles on it. Sometimes I buy them with 300,000 miles on it, But every single time, it's like without fail, with a couple exceptions, right? Every single car I've ever gotten from the 90s, from the 2000s, by the time it quit on me and had catastrophic failure, it was easily, I easily put, it's easily had like 300,000 plus. Like, we're talking every car from the 90s, or almost every car, was easily 500,000 miles. I had the Ford 4.6 liter V8 Triton. And all over the internet, you hear people like, oh, it's such a bad engine. I've had 3 of them. Every single one of them, 400,000 miles. Easy. Anyway, let's continue.
Today, that's nothing. The car just broke in at that point. But back in the day, you had a problem with your car. You had Tommy next door. You had Billy up the street. You had Sandra, around the corner. These were all people that could help you fix your car. They could get you back on the road, get you to a mechanic to do the stuff that they couldn't do or, didn't have the ability to do, on the street or whatever. If you lived out in the country, everybody knew how to fix a car, I forgot his name, the comedian with who always wears like the plaid t-shirt or plaid shirt with the cut-off sleeves. And he always said, everybody makes fun of a redneck till their car breaks down. And that's true. It's absolutely true. But in today's world, people don't realize all the different tools and equipment required to work on vehicles today. Yes, you can do basic stuff, but even the basic stuff is basically few and far between repairs. So nobody gets into it. Nobody buys their own tools anymore for this reason. Many people don't realize mechanics have to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars. I mean, if I had to add up all the tools I've bought over the years, I probably have purchased $250,000 worth of tools for myself.
Yeah, this guy's buying Snap-on. If you're $250,000 into tools, you're buying Snap-on, right? A fucking car jack lift, a lift that it's a hydraulic lift. You bring that up on your, it picks up your entire fucking Ford F-350, right? That fucker is only like, $15,000, which is a lot of fucking money, but like nowhere near $250,000. Now the installation, if you gotta pay somebody to put in some thick ass concrete and you don't have the skills to do it yourself, that's costly. But even then, it's not $250,000, right? And I can say my welder was like, and I got a really nice welder, but I got the Lightning MTS 275 with the TIG package. Okay, my welder was $2,500. I got multiple power tools. I got $300 rigid impact. I got a $150 rigid impact drill combo. Altogether, I have an entire arsenal. I've got multiple socket sets. I am nowhere even close to $250,000. If you're spending $250,000 on your tools, then everything you bought was Snap-on. And in addition to everything you bought with Snap-on, you basically donated $200,000 to Snap-on's butthole. Like you set $200K on fire, and you bought $50,000 worth of Snap-on tools because Snap-on doesn't have $250,000 worth of shit, and that's the most expensive thing you can buy. So Wrenching with Boomer's either exaggerating or he's just stupid. Yeah, he paid way over tool truck price for this. He's going to bring that up later. We'll get into that. But you don't need to buy the Snap-on, and especially if you're doing it yourself.
So, I think I just spit on myself, but whatever. I'd be willing to bet I bought probably $250,000 worth of tools, and tools that have gotten lost, misplaced, people borrow, you never get back, you forget who it was. That's out there too. I've given lots of tools away too to people starting off in this business, but nobody wants to do that anymore. People, here's a good example. We had a young gentleman start at the shop. As you know, as many of you know, I'm not there full time anymore. I'm going there right now, actually, but I'm not there full time anymore. But they had a young man start there in his 20s, and he was there for maybe 2 months, and he tried, but he's like, you know what? This is not for me. I got to spend a lot of money on tools. He had basic tools when he got there. He's like, I got to spend a lot of money on tools. I can't see spending $100 to $250 per week on tools, and that's what a lot of guys spend.
If you're spending that much money, you're getting fleeced by the tool truck, right? You're not like if you're spending $250 a week on any, like, it doesn't take $250 a week for 2 months to even pull an engine. Which by the way, if you're pulling an engine, the shop should supply the fucking gantry and the crane for you. Right? There's no reason you should be supplying that yourself. Like, there are some tools you need to have yourself, and then there's the forklift, which obviously the fucking shop needs to bring. If the shop's mandating that you got to bring your own forklift to work, or some other, giant tool like that, they need to pay you a lot more fucking money. And also, I was kind of saving this for the as a response, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it because I may have already passed up that point. So the way mechanic shops work is they pay you per job, right? And they're never going to get, like, no company is ever going to give you a deal that benefits you more than them, right? So when they say, there's a bunch of names for it. It's flat rate, piecework. I've heard a couple others, but they don't come to my, they're not on my tongue right now. I can't think of them. But anyway, it's basically to illustrate what I'm talking about. let's use my my shitty oil change job that I did, for like a week with Toyota. And I only took that job because I was desperate and needed money. And as soon as I got paid, I fucked off. So, what I mean is, when they say piecework, so the oil change it paid $15, or sorry, it paid 0.15 hours, which works out to about 15 minutes. It paid 15 minutes. So, or I think technically it worked out to like 10 minutes or something like that. Anyway, it was way too little. It was way too little. And so what ended up happening was, let me describe the process of doing the oil change. First, I have to go on my phone and I have to accept the job. I have to accept the ticket. And then I have to go into the office, which is over, like it's over here. And then I have to go to the office and I got to get the keys to the car. And then I have to go out into the parking lot, which is in the opposite side of the building. And so I got to go get the car. Now I got to go drive the car onto the lift, which sounds pretty straightforward, right? Until you realize I got to make a 3-point turn to get it on the lift. And then I got to make a 3-point turn to get it off the lift. And then I get it on the lift, I get out the car, I put it on the lift, or I put the lift up in the air, right? Very slow process, it moves very slowly because it's hydraulic. And then I'm not allowed to use power tools because Cletus, once upon a time, some Cletus from the olden days, stripped out a thread, so I'm not allowed to use power tools when I take off the... And by the way, every car has this cover. They have this anti-mechanic device where they put this cover. Sometimes it's fabric, sometimes it's metal. Doesn't matter. Point is, it's usually 3, 4, the most I've seen was 5 bolts you got to take off, and you got to take them off by hand. And then you have to take off you got to take the dang old filter off, right? And the newer Toyotas, they have this special tool you got to use. It's not that much of a pain in the ass. It's fine. It's kind of a non-issue. You take off the filter, you pop the plug out, right? Then you got to go fetch a new filter, fetch a new plug. Usually they keep all the filters on the shelf. But there was one that really pissed me off. This is my last day here where I said, you know what? I'm fucking out of here. And that was the day where I had to go where the filter that I needed was not on the shelf of filters. And so I had to go to parts. And they had one parts guy working there at any given time, and the parts guy was out to lunch. So I had to sit there and wait for an hour for the parts guy to show up so that I could get my damn filter, so I can put the new filter back on the vehicle, and I can put the oil in and all that and be done with it. And that was the worst. That one ended up taking like 2 hours to do, but normally it would take about 45 minutes. Now I want you to think about that. My pay rate was $20 an hour, and I only got that much money because I had like prior experience as a mechanic. I was a legitimate mechanic doing oil changes, right? And this ain't just oil changes. Every aspect of the job paid this way. It's all piecework. I say, oh yeah, so we're gonna, anytime they say, oh yeah, you're gonna get paid like it's gonna be like it's gonna say it's a 30-minute job. You're gonna get done in 5 minutes, and you're gonna make all the money. Every employer is gonna sales pitch this to you. Well, what ended up happening was, I'm in a $20 an hour tax bracket, making effectively $10 an hour. So I'm getting taxed to hell, and I'm making less than I would if I would just be working hourly for $10 an hour because of the higher tax bracket. So I'm getting fucked like multiple ways. And in addition to that, like $10 an hour isn't shit. And of course, when you bring this up to your manager, which I did, they're like, oh, you'll get faster. They make it sound like it's a you problem. Like, no, it's not a me problem. Your fucking logistics are like, everything about this whole job is very unoptimized. Everything's designed to make it take extremely long. And I'm paying the price because I'm getting paid, this way, right? I'm getting paid, and so, like, you wouldn't be offering me piecework if you were not winning. You wouldn't be offering me piecework if you weren't getting something out of it. Anyway, so that's the whole thing. And by the way, they could afford to easily pay me even $50 an hour, because we had a constant stream of vehicles, and I saw the tickets. Like, I saw the tickets that they were doing. These people, these absolute goyim, were paying like $300 for an oil change, which is insane. I would never pay that much. But they wanted to bring their shit to the dealership, be like, oh, well, yeah, we're going to pay $300 for an oil change, and I'm getting like $10? No, fuck you. I know what the oil cost. Actually, I don't know what the oil costs, but I know it's cheaper than what I pay. So I know you're actually your margins are actually better than what I would get. And so yeah, that's the whole thing, is like, like you're making like just off my labor alone, they're profiting like fucking like hundredfold. It's crazy. I make $100,000 a day. Pay me fucking $10? No, fuck that. It's a raw deal. And anyway, this has gone on way too fucking long. Let's get back to the video.
Snap-on truck shows up, Mac Tools truck shows up. Oh no, Mac Tools never shows up. They do once, and then they never show up again. Matco Tools, USA Tools, whatever. But they show up, and you have a $100 bill, you have a $250 bill every single week. It happens. It's just how it works with this industry. Now, do you have to buy Snap-on tools, Matco Tools, stuff like that? No, you can buy Harbor Freight. Are they just as good? No, but their Icon series.
Yes. When it comes to sockets, the sockets are just as good. I've only ever cracked one socket, and it was a Craftsman.
It's come a long way. I mean, their Icon series are right up there as far as I'm concerned with Snap-on, and you can't tell me difference, except their ratchets. Their ratchets definitely don't hold up as well as them.
That is true. The first generation of Icon ratchets had a problem where the screw would come loose by itself after using it for a while. I do believe the second generation fixed that problem. At least that's what I'm told. I haven't used my second generation Icon ratchet enough to encounter the problem again, but I'll come back and update y'all in about 6 months.
Snap-on one does. Craftsman used to make excellent tools, excellent starter tools. They don't exist anymore. Well, they do, but it's not the same thing. Trust me. You can get some really good tools, but for your basic home guy, it's fine. It's not a big deal. But as a professional, that stuff does not last. It does not work. It's unreliable for the professional. But anyway, yeah. So this guy, he was there, and he eventually gave his notice. He's like, you know what? This is not for me. He goes, spending $100 a week, up to $250 a week just on tools, when I'm making $750 to $1,000 a week, whatever he was, I don't know what he was making, but, to spend that kind of money when that's what your return is, it's just like, man, can I see myself doing this for the rest of my life? Most people are like, no. And then the amount of knowledge between different cars and whatnot. Back in the day, you had a Ford, you had a Chevy, you had a Dodge, you had a Plymouth, you had an Oldsmobile, a Buick, a Pontiac, Datsuns, Nissans, Toyotas. Yeah, they were around, not all that often. I mean, Toyotas and Hondas were. Nissans, not so much, but whatever. You didn't have.
All right, so I'm just gonna completely glaze over this guy's. He's ranting and repeating himself, which I can't blame him. I do the same shit. But check this out. if you are a true mechanic, not a part swapper, not a, just a true mechanic, somebody who actually understands how the vehicle works, you don't need a fucking diagram, you don't need to, no, if you understand how the vehicle works, it doesn't matter what the vehicle is. If you understand the basics, the fundamentals of how these things operate, you can reverse engineer it on the fly. You can look at something and you can see, oh yeah, that looks fucking broken, right? That looks bad, right? That looks out of tolerance. If you understand fundamentally how these things work, it doesn't really matter what the vehicle is. You can fix it. The problem is most people are not true mechanics, they're just part swappers. Now what do I mean by true mechanic? I mean like I can rebuild a transmission. That's mechanic work, right? Now, and I actually had this. I actually pissed off my one of my interviewers, or confused him. I don't know, but I had an interview with I think it was Frito-Lay. They were looking for a mechanic, and they were talking about, oh yeah, so we just have a shelf full of parts, and whenever like say an alternator dies or a serpentine belt breaks, we just go out there with the new one and we swap out the old one, put the new one in, And I was like, wait, so you're not actually mechanics? And I didn't mean for it to come out like that. I just kind of did, right? And they're like, huh? What? No, this is a mechanic job. It's like they didn't understand. They either were insulted, confused, or they didn't know what the fuck I was saying. But like, no, that's not mechanic work. That's maintenance. And I'll get into that here in a bit, but actually, you know what? Fuck it. I'll skip ahead. I'm just going to skip ahead and just say what I want to say, right? So, essentially, you need to understand something, right? Maintenance, like mechanics, are not for poor people, okay? The $40 Quinn, or I think I paid $80 for mine. Quinn is a good set. Quinn from Harbor Freight. The case is kind of the selling point. I don't like the Pittsburgh, not because the sockets are bad, but because the case is weak, right? The case will just, the latches will break. Now the sockets just kind of fly everywhere. You want a case that has good latches and isn't just going to break the first time you open it. But listen, mechanics are not for poor people, right? Just like babysitters are not for like poor people, like single moms who just like, I'm gonna go work at Starbucks and I'm gonna pay a babysitter to like raise my kid for me. And no, at that point you're just a slave to your babysitter, okay? Because like you're not like babysitters are for like millionaires with like mansions and shit, and they are off doing millionaire stuff, and it's not for fucking Tanya to like work at Starbucks, and it's just like, oh, I just want to get out the house. Yeah, you and literally everybody else. But like, here's the thing: like, you're gonna be negative money. Like, it's actually cheaper if you just raise the kid yourself. Anyway, going on a tangent, right? But yeah, mechanics are not for poor people. Lawyers were never meant for poor people, right? The Harbor Freight was meant for poor people. That you go there and you learn how to change a spark plug yourself, which anybody can do. It's not even difficult. Like, the average person should be able to change their spark plug, their brake pads, their windshield washer fluid. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that like some people can't even do a coolant flush on their car. Like, it's crazy. It's like, oh man, I don't have any windshield wiper fluid. Shit, I guess I'm just gonna go without, or I'm gonna bring it to a mechanic. It just just stop it. Stop being it's not even lazy. It's just like terrified of dirt. Like, stop it. Anyway, back to wrenching with Boomer.
Have 300 different cars coming to you. Like, you didn't, like, everybody had a Chevy Nova. Everybody had a Volkswagen Beetle. It's just like, but nowadays you have, like, just looking at the cars on the street in front of me, They're all different. Every single one of them is different. I see a Honda, I see a Toyota, I see a Kia. I'm driving a Kia right now. Behind me is a Honda. Here's a Ford coming down the street. Here's a Chevy coming down the street. You know what I mean? There's like so many different vehicles and so many different tools required to do so many different things. Nobody wants to get involved in it anymore. But then again, here's young guys that come into this business. And I've recently befriended a guy named Tyler Powell, a young man. He's got a 2011 Dodge Charger that he's doing up for himself. And he's a young man. He works at a dealership. And, he's working at Quick Lube, and this is what he wants to do, and that's what it takes. It takes somebody that wants to do this. And hey, what I'm going to do for Tyler Powell, I'm going to show you his Charger. I had a brain fart there. I'm going to show you his Charger right here. He sent me a picture of it, so let me just send that. I'm going to look that up right here.
Yeah, it's a Charger. It's not bad. It's not great. It's just they only made 10 billion of them.
All right, so now that you saw Tyler's car, he's done some work to it. He wants to do more work to it. He wants to put a cam in it. He wants to, basically boost it up a little bit, make some power out of it, and I get it. But he seems like he's really into it, and it takes a certain mindset to be.
So he glossed over it, but I want to say, yeah, if you that's the difference between what you need a mechanic for and the kind of shit that you should be doing yourself, right? He just mentioned a cam. Yeah, you put an aftermarket cam in it. That's a mechanic job. That's something for a mechanic to do, right? But when it comes to like spark plugs, brake pads, brake rotors, all of all of this is like accessible. The only thing I would say is like you could technically do it yourself, but I'd rather just because the tool that you need to do it is so big. When it comes to changing tires, just bring it to a tire shop. Like the margins are small enough that you're just better off, bringing it to a tire shop.
Be really into it, and it's very hard to find nowadays. And you know why? Because that same mindset, you can go into carpentry, and you don't need to have $1 million worth of tools.
You don't need $1 million worth of tools for anything. Welding, mechanic work, carpentry, which I've done, by the way. Construction. I remember I ran the math on this for a friend of mine because he was like dooming and glooming about how expensive, he's like, I can't build my own house. The tools are so expensive. And I ran the math on it, and not even using the cheapest framing gun, like actually a nice one, like using a DeWalt. It was like it was like startup cost was like $500, right? For the tooling, for like a cheap air compressor, a respectable framing gun, a box of nails, and like a air hose and a ladder, right? Just altogether like $500, like not that bad. No, actually, I don't think we put the ladder in there. So when you factor in the ladder, it'd be more like $700, right? And $700 is not a lot of money, right? You just go work at McDonald's for, about a week or so, and there you go, you got $700. It's not a lot of money.
You can go into plumbing. You don't need to have $1 million worth of tools. You can go into electrical. You don't need to have $1 million worth of tools. And it's all stuff you can still do with your hands. There's a lot of different industries out there where the company that you work for supplies your tools. Some repair shops do that. Not many.
They should supply your tools. Like, here's the thing. You're not gonna... It's kind of a bullshit hard sell, at least to me. You wanna pay me chump change, but you want me to bring like all $30,000 worth of my tools. But you want to pay me $10 an hour? For what? For the fucking for the cube I gotta work in? For the location? What, for the customers? That's the easy part. Getting the customers is the easy part. Getting the fucking tools is a bitch. So you want me to do all the hard work, all the hard part, just so that I can show up to your box making chump change. You know, we're like, what do you bring into the table? What do you bring into the table? A garage with a fucking business sign on it? Well, fuck, I can make one of those. I have made one of those. It's ridiculous. Like, your sales pitch sucks. The bread is stale and the circus is boring. Get fucked.
Not many at all. Some upper end dealerships supply their own tools because they want to have basically like a uniform shop where you look in the shop and everybody has the same toolbox. So you don't have, a green toolbox here, an orange toolbox there, a red toolbox there, a silver toolbox there, a dresser drawer, over here. I'm saying that because one time at the dealership in the very early stages when I started there, they hired this guy. He came in, and I swear to you, he offloads from the back of his truck a dresser, and that was his toolbox. He lasted not even a day. We're like, no, get that. No. This is ridiculous. You're not going to have a dresser here and think you're going to be working on vehicles. No. It looks so absolutely unprofessional.
Okay, this is actually like the main reason I wanted to respond to this video, because this right fucking here pisses me off. He got so this fucking boomer, this absolute piece of shit, fired a mechanic who I assume, based on the fact that he was employed there for any amount of time, he was certified. He had his own tools. The only thing he didn't have was one of those tower, what do you call them? One of those tower toolboxes, right? One of those shelf toolboxes that roll, right? Because here's the thing, I don't have one of those. Most mechanics don't need one of those, right? You only need one of those if you're going to be working in a shop. And this guy, I don't know how old he was. I don't want to belittle him, right? I respect this guy, not the boomer. I respect this guy because he probably went to Goodwill and got that shelf for like $20, and he probably would have got like a U.S. General or a Snap-on or a Husky proper tool shelf, right? He probably would have got a real one after one or two paychecks. But you fired him instantaneously for the crime of being poor because it doesn't, quote unquote, look professional. Who the fuck cares how it looks? Okay, the customers are not allowed inside the shop bay. They're not allowed inside the mechanic area for one very specific reason. And it's because they freak out. Like the normies who don't know anything about cars. They freak out when they see their car in pieces. They don't understand. Yeah, to get to the heater core, you got to pull the whole fucking dashboard out on a lot of cars, right? They don't understand that. So when they see their car in pieces, they lose their shit. And that's why they're not allowed in the engine bay. Or they're not allowed in the mechanic bay. And so, yeah, this fucking piece of shit. Probably this little dipshit right here. Because he's acting all smug about it. Fucking boomer in charge right here. Fucking wrenching with boomer. This motherfucker fired this guy essentially for the crime of being poor. Oh, you're poor, so you're not allowed to make money. Fuck you, get out of here. I hate that shit. Because I remember exactly what it was like. I remember exactly what it was like to be poor. Fuck this guy. Let's continue.
No. So, yeah, that didn't last one bit. But, yeah, so it's just like,
boomer.
In this industry, having the mindset for it and the willingness to learn everything you need to learn, that's the other thing, too. To be a mechanic, you need to be a plumber. You need to be an HVAC guy. You need to be an electrician.
You don't need to be a fucking plumber. That's bullshit. HVAC, yeah, a little bit, right?
You need to be a diagnostician. You need to know how to read all sorts of different equipment there's so many different things and so many different ways of doing things depending on the manufacturer. And you go from one manufacturer to the next, and it's like, why do you do it this way? Like, what is the reason behind doing things this way when this other manufacturer does it this way? And it's such an easier way of doing things. And it's just like, but that's just how it is. You know, you go from, I don't know, let's say you go from a Honda to a Volkswagen, and it's like, okay, Volkswagen mounts the water pump at the backside of the engine with a belt, a timing belt style belt at the back of the engine. It's like, what?
Yeah, I've replaced one on my Volkswagen Jetta. Was it daunting? Yeah, a little bit, I guess. But I mean, it's tomato. It doesn't fucking matter what it's bolted with.
Who came up with this? Why? What's the reason behind it? You know, and then like a Honda's got the water pump bolted to the front like a normal vehicle.
Yeah, and on a fucking Ford, you need to have a special tool to you need a special tool to remove the fan from the water pump. And you got to remove that before you can remove the water pump. Like, every vehicle has its own little problems. You can nitpick the shit out of any car. I know Chevy guys who are like, oh, it's super easy to work on. I'm like, okay. You want me to lecture you about Dex Cool? Huh? You want me to lecture you about that fucking time bomb? You want me to lecture you about how all your little... Let's continue. I don't want to get into a rant.
But, yeah, so, anyway, I just kind of wanted to share this stuff with you. So, you know, hey, back in the day, everybody was into it. Everybody wanted to fix their car. But stuff didn't last like it does today. We actually have a Kia Soul at the shop. Okay? It's got like 12,000 miles on it, and it needs an engine. It's a newer one. And Kia will not warranty it. There's a reason for that, and I'll explain it. But look for me doing some kind of a video on that. It's pouring rain today. The car's outside, so I doubt I'm going to make any kind of a video on it today, but it'll be upcoming. Pretty interesting as to why they won't cover it. And I completely understand why they won't cover it. So, but yeah, and it's not, well, I guess it is abuse.
It's probably related to the customer preemptively fucking with it. So if a customer tries to do their own repair, which a lot of times they actually do, and they fuck it up to make it worse, especially when you get into like pulling timing covers off and shit like that. Yeah, for understandable reasons, because like they don't know what you did to it, so they can't warranty something that, you know, might have been you making something that might have been a minor problem worse. Not defending manufacturers, they have their own little bits of fuckery, but yeah. Well, we'll see. I'll watch his follow-up.
I guess you can call it abuse, but it's neglect, it's abuse, you know, it's all of the above. So anyway, I guess that's it. So just, you know, not a super long video here, but, you know, just I kind of wanted to shed a little light on the subject of this industry and what goes on with this industry and why this industry is getting more and more difficult for guys to get into, girls to get into. You know, there's a lot of great people out there that do this for a living, and there's a lot of great people still getting into it, but it's harder and harder to find. I wish more women would get into it, and I do see more women getting into it. If you guys have never checked her out, Faith.
He's going to mention some woman. He's going to mention some woman, which, you know, I'm not entirely against it. If you can do the job, you can do the job, right? You should call me a meritocrat at the end of the day. Now, I want to backtrack about 5 seconds to what he said. I wish more women would get into the... Yeah, sure, go ahead. Flood the fucking market. You know what? I wish more Indians would get into it. I wish more Mexicans. You know what? Fuck it, more dogs, right? Let's just flood the fucking market with everything to drive the wages down even further. It already doesn't pay shit. That's why people are talking about this. But yeah, let's go ahead. More women! Activate the women lever!
Pull the lever, Crunk. Wrong lever!
Activate the lever, Crunk! Activate the Indian lever! Quick, the Mexican lever! Oh, quick, the child labor lever! Like it never ends. Like you're just gonna add more supply to make the, you're just gonna increase supply until the demand is just non-existent, and it's worthless. They do that with everything. And it's just this right here, Boomer. Like, he didn't think nothing of it. He wasn't even, he didn't even have like a facial expression to go along with it. But he was like, oh yes, I wish more women and more Indians and more everybody. Like, we need more third worlders coming in here and making it fucking less valuable. Of course, that is the solution to everything. The solution to all of our financial problems in America is we just need to we just need to make we need to get less money. We need to make less money for the hard work that we do, because of course, like that, obviously, like, and who benefits from that? Are they going to charge less for the service? No. I promise you, if you import fucking 15,000 billion Indians and women and Mexicans and whoever the fuck else you want to put into the pool, fucking Toyota is still going to be charging $300 for an oil change, right? They're just going to be profit maxing. They're going to make more money off of that because, oh look, now that we can, now that we can just like pay everybody, like everything's minimum wage, fucking. McDonald's is minimum wage, a mechanic is minimum. Like, hey, we got fucking infinite Indians. We can keep everything minimum wage forever, right? Are they going to charge less? No, they're not going to charge charge less. What are you talking about? You crazy? No, but they're going to pay you less. They're going to pay you less while charging more. In fact, actually, they're going to charge you more because they got the best and brightest street shitters to change your oil for you. They probably like took a shit inside your engine. Like, that costs money. That's premium shit right there. That's premium content. But fucking add yes, go ahead and add more to the roster and make everything worthless. Fucking brilliant. Especially after a 10-minute long video where he's like, oh, I don't understand why these people, they don't want to, these whippersnappers just don't want to work anymore. Like, it can't be that's the crazy thing is, like, he's talking about the fucking difficulty of it. Bro, the difficulty is negligible. It's a non-issue. And the cost of tools, that entire fucking rant of his was just a gaslight. There's not $250,000 worth of tools to be had. It just, unless you're just buying the same fucking wrench 1,000 times over. There's not $250,000 worth of tools to be had. Like, you can buy all the Snap-on. It's still not $250,000. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Here's why he will never say this. Is because he runs the mechanic shop. He's not going to mention the money aspect of it. He's not going to say what it actually is, because he's making money off of the fuckery. And how do I know this? How do I know he's actually in charge? Because he fired a guy for the crime of being poor. I'm going to go ahead and let this man finish his sentence, and I'm going to kill the video right here. It's over.
Hadley, she has a great YouTube channel.
Parrot Tits. Oh, YouTube channel. Okay. Who did he say it was? I'm going to look it up, and I'm going to put her picture on the screen.
But it's harder and harder to find. I wish more women would get into it, and I do see more women getting into it. If you guys have never checked her out, Faye Hadley, she has a great YouTube channel. Very informative. I love how she does things. I've been watching her ever since I discovered her, which was probably about two years ago or so. Fantastic stuff. So, but anyway, you may want to check her out. I don't know her. I've seen her, and I think she does some really good stuff. But anyway, that's it. All right, guys, have a great day, and keep wrenching.
Okay, I just looked her up. Not big tits, but yeah, cute goth girl. So, I understand the simping. But that's all it was. It was just simping. And of course, we can't forget. Not just simping, but a subtle push, if you will. Or not so subtle, I don't know. A not so subtle push to flood the market with more and more supply to make the value of the labor even less. Because that's what boomers do. You saw the videos. I'll see if I can find one for you. Put at the end of this video. But I've seen videos when the deportations were happening, which happened ever so briefly. Like, Trump is not going to save us, never was. The whole thing was a charade. I'll get into that later. But you saw videos of people just like this guy, just boomers, just like him. They were throwing a temper tantrum, stomping their feet like petulant children over their slaves. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to take a pay cut because I gotta hire Americans to finish building these houses because they're under the table, less than minimum wage, just slaves. Just they got deported, or they were in hiding. Who knows? But yeah, like, will things get better? I don't fucking know. Hope so. Be cool. Be nice if it happened. Not holding my breath though. Alright, remember, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment below. And I'll be seeing you.